YouTube, what is going on? It's War Sports Culture, and I'm back with another video here today. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing defensive tackle prospects for the Green Bay Packers. And this is a very stacked and talented defensive, unit in this year's draft class. Whether that's on the edge or the interior, there's a lot of talented and very technical, high IQ football players that have great motors in the interior. And I'm going to give you guys 5 prospects. This isn't a ranking video by any means. These are just 5 guys that I really do like a lot for the Green Bay Packers. Without further ado, man, let's get right into this. If you're interested in more Green Bay Packers videos like this, especially on positions for this draft class, please go look at my channel. I made 3 videos already for cornerbacks, for edge rushers, and for wide receivers. So without further ado, let's get right into this. The first defensive tackle on this list, and I truly feel like he's probably the safest pick on this list in terms of defensive tackle prospects, and that is Kenneth Grant, the big 6'3", 340-pound defensive lineman from Michigan. This guy's a big body in the trenches, has that dog mentality, very good in terms of run defense, very stout in holding his gap, just a big dude. You really can't move out the way. Very athletic guy. I believe he got somewhere around 20 miles per hour or around there. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but this dude is just a very athletic monster in the trenches. 9.4% win rate this year, 27 pressures, 22 defensive stops, and 3 sacks. And I think he's a stout run defender, but I will say one thing. I think this guy took a huge step forward compared to 2023 to 2024 in terms of pass rushing. He just played with a different type of speed this year. Obviously, playing with Mason Graham helps a lot too. But, I mean, Kenneth Grant, man, his play speed this year compared to last year, huge difference. His hand placement got way better. His hand speed got way better. His overall strength and his bull rush got better. Does play high sometimes at 6'3", 340, but he's very disciplined. I think he plays high towards the later ends of the game when, guys are more fatigued and tired. I just think I wouldn't say he's undisciplined and he comes out of his stance because he just wants to. I just think, fatigue hits him later on in the games and he just suddenly starts to play high in his pad level, which I hope at the next level he could definitely fix, or someone could just come in for him so he doesn't have to play so fatigued and play at a, super high pad level. But besides that, man, huge fan of Kenneth Grant. Like I said, I think he's probably the safest pick in terms of prospects on this list for me at the defensive tackle position. And he's just a 6'3", 340-pound athletic monster in the trenches that brings that dog mentality. So the first guy is Kenneth Grant. The next defensive tackle prospect on this list is TJ Sanders from South Carolina, and I like his game a lot. I'm very intrigued by his pass rushing abilities from the interior. My biggest concern about him as a player, though, is 6'4", 290. He doesn't have the biggest mass for the interior. I feel like in run support, I'm not saying he's a bad run support defensive tackle. I think he's solid. I think he could fill his gap pretty good, but in double teams, I just felt like he couldn't fight through any double teams at all. And then I felt like when he played against bigger, more just stronger overall offensive linemen, they were able to, just make him, or just simply stand him up. And that's not what you want to see from your defensive tackle. But if you want to talk about pass rushing abilities, I think this guy's one of the better ones. Rich just plays with some great natural leverage. I like his discipline when it comes to that as well. Has some great hand placement. Very fast, ferocious hands. Packs some punch with his hands as well. When he gets his hands on guys, he's able to pack a punch with it as well. Has a plethora of moves in his arsenal when it comes to pass rushing. A lot. I think he gives you the versatility from the 0 all the way to the 5 on any defensive front. But you'd like to see him play a little bit bigger when it comes to run support. That is just my biggest concern about him, especially through double teams. I just feel like it's very hard for him to get through double teams. It was just a struggle when I was watching him on film. But besides that, man, in terms of pass rushing, I think he's one of the better ones from the interior. You just like to see him play a little bit bigger, per se, when it comes to run support. So second defender on this list, or second prospect on this list, I should say, TJ Sanders. The next defensive tackle prospect on this list is Derek Carman from Oregon, 6'5", 310. And I'm ready to put my stamp on it and say he's probably the second best pass rusher from the defensive tackle position in this year's draft class. I'm about ready to say that. There's a lot to like about his game in terms of pass rushing, man. Very devastating rip move. Has some great hand placement. Very solid, quick first step. But I'd say the one thing he has is just great natural leverage when it comes to one-on-ones and just, playing with his pad level. And some great, ferocious, violent strength in his hands. Like, the dude brings a punch when he gets his hands on guys. There's just a lot to like about him. His bull rush, his rip move, his pass rushing abilities. I think he's a really good play reader. He reads the plays before pre-snap. Very good. He's a good processor is what I meant to say. Very good processor of the game. Knows where the ball's going. The one thing that I just simply don't understand about his game, and maybe it's just me, but I've heard other people say it too. When I watch this film, man, he's very disruptive. I mean, 17.6% win rate this year. Very, very elite for an interior defensive lineman. 55 pressures, 25 defensive stops, 5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. That is very good from the interior. The one thing I don't understand is, yes, he's very disruptive. He could get to the backfield in a hurry, very, very fast. He knows where the ball's going. But the only thing I don't understand is he whiffs on tackles, and in my opinion, a lot. Like, I don't understand. He gets to the backfield a lot, and he just simply takes the wrong angle, over pursues, and runs himself out of the play. Even against quarterbacks too, when he's just simply trying to sack the quarterback, I feel like sometimes he takes the wrong angle, gets over aggressive, just over pursues the quarterback, and just completely runs himself out of the play. That is the only thing I have worry about him at the next level, or that's the only concern I see on his game. His motor is a little bit inconsistent as well, but I mean, besides that, the dude's a very, very solid processor of the game, high-level pass rusher from the interior. I love his strength that he plays with, has a killer rip move, has some great hand placement, but his tackling technique, in my opinion, definitely needs some work at the next level. The next defensive tackle prospect on this list, and my personal favorite pick for the Packers at this position, is Walter Nolan, 6'4", 305. This year in 2024 at a 10.3% win rate, 35 pressures, 32 defensive stops, and 6 sacks. The one thing I will say, and I'll get off his positives first, is some great, and I mean great athleticism from the interior, man. He kind of reminds me of Jalen Carter from when Jalen Carter was coming out of Georgia, just because of the raw athleticism they bring from the interior, the twitch, the bend, the pass rushing abilities. And if Walter Nolan could be anything like, Jalen Carter, who I think personally Jalen Carter is the best defensive tackle in the NFL, if Walter Nolan could be anything like Jalen Carter and the Packers draft Walter Nolan, that is a great problem to have on their hands. I'd say, honestly, though, the one thing I want to see Walter Nolan do better at the next level is incorporate more hand usage when he pass rushes. I feel like he simply relies a little bit too much on his quick first step and just raw athleticism and power. But besides that, man, I mean, the dude brings it all. I think he's one of the highest football IQ players in this year's draft class. He's very good at processing where the ball is going, knows how to beat blocks, knows how to beat double teams. Yes, might be the biggest dude in terms of weight at 305, but he has natural great leverage, and he's so good at playing like the shorter man that he's able to get underneath all these taller big guards and centers and just simply drive them back and just make disruptive plays on the ball. So there's a lot to like about him. Like I said, his raw athleticism just makes me, or just reminds me of Jalen Carter from the Philadelphia Eagles. And if Walter Nolan could be anything like Jalen Carter, and the Packers draft him, like I said, I mean, that is a great problem to have in the trenches. This dude also brings that dog mentality in the trenches. Very solid motor, high energy player. I do think sometimes because his wingspan isn't the longest, I want to say it's around 33 or 32 inches, it is kind of harder for him to disengage blocks, especially when in the run. But besides that, man, the dude's one hell of a football player, and I think he's a top 20 prospect in this year's draft class. And finally, the last prospect on this list, and I saved him towards the end because I think he's such a fun player to watch, and that is Jordan Burch. And yes, I know, what is he going to be at the next level? Is he going to be an edge? Is he going to be an interior defensive lineman? I think he gives you the versatility on the whole defensive front. I think he could truly play it all. 6'6", 295, had a 15.7% win rate this year, 32 pressures, 14 defensive stops, 10 sacks, and a forced fumble. And for Oregon, he played a little bit of it all, man. He played interior, he played on the edge. You've seen his elite speed and just quickness off the edge. You've seen his first step. But when they slid him inside, and you've seen him and Derek Harmon, right next to each other, you've seen the chaos they inflicted. Jordan Burch, man, 6'6", 295, plays with some great leverage. For a guy being his size, man, he's able to play the short game very, very well. Has some long arm, has a long arm reach as well, so he's able to get his hands on guys. Just very, very quick from the defensive line position. As a run defender, though, I like to see him get a little bit better. I think he gets stood up at times. Even for a guy being 6'6", 295 pounds, he does get stood up quite a bit when I watched him. But besides that, man, if you want a great pass rusher, if you want to swing for the fences from the interior, or just get a guy that's very versatile on the whole defensive line and just swing for the fences with a guy with a lot of athleticism, a great frame, who has been very productive in my opinion, Jordan Burch is your guy, man. And I don't know where other people are valuing him in this year's draft class, but I definitely take this guy in the first 2 rounds easily. So last prospect on this list is Jordan Burch. Yes, you don't know where he's going to necessarily play in the NFL, but in my personal opinion, I think the guy gives you versatility all over the defensive line. It's up to you as, the head coach or the defensive coordinator to find out what you want to do with the talent like Jordan Burch. And that is going to wrap up the video, guys. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I love interacting with you guys, knowing what you guys think about some of these prospects, what you guys would do in this year's draft class, who you guys would target in the free agency. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys would do in the comments. I have been making some draft intel videos for the Packers, man. Like I said, if you want to go look at positional videos for this year's draft class for the Packers, please go look at my channel. I made a couple already. Defensive tackles, which is the video you're watching right now, edge rushers, cornerbacks, and wide receivers for this year's draft class. So if you want to go look at those videos, please go look at my channel, comment, subscribe for more videos. I'm out, though.